Hey guys, greetings Flamengo fans. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're new here, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and drop a like on the video. We're here to bring you a lot of information about Flamengo. Just a reminder, this is brought to you by AIP Florida. You can get the best insurance for your car and your house. Man, reach out to AIP Florida right now. They're excellent when it comes to helping you choose your insurance in Florida. So it's the most awarded company, and you can look for Ana Mira's team, who will serve you with the greatest care, okay? Yeah, also remember that you can lose weight in a healthy way with Mais Cabello. The Mais Slim program from Mais Cabello is fantastic, okay? There's always a Mais Cabello near you all over Brazil, okay? With the Mais Slim program, you get a discount here on the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel, and you can secure this treatment with follow-up right now, which is amazing. Also, just to remind you, look at how my hair is turning out. It's looking great, man. And no transplant. I actually did the treatment, ExoMais. You can do it too. The link is in the description. All right? We also want to remind you that Haroldo's Caravan WhatsApp contact is there too, so you can secure your spot at the Champions League, World Cup, Mengão games in Rio de Janeiro, games with tickets included, away games. Now the round of 16 Mengão is guaranteed. They're going to be the top seed, right? And we're bringing everything to you here. Look, we have important information to bring here, not just about the transfer market, right? But mainly about Flamengo's situation. Fighting with the CBF to postpone their game. Flamengo doesn't give up, right? Besides Flamengo not giving up, we're also going to talk about Abel Ferreira's method again, right? Again, I agreed with him on one point and reminded him, but in the other situation, man, again, it's the same method as always, him doing everything he can, right, to put pressure on the referees in the game against Flamengo. It's surreal. I already know it started. Abel's pressure for the game on Saturday against Flamengo has already begun. He's making excuses, yes, saying a bunch of things, saying he's demanding courage from the referees. Are we going to talk about all of this here? Roll the intro. My friends, let's go. So, we're here bringing you an update. Portal GE reported this Thursday morning regarding the issue between Flamengo and the CBF, okay? Yeah, Flamengo opened talks with the CBF. Flamengo was counting on the CBF's common sense. The CBF has already made it clear that they didn't want to, right? Yeah, Raiza Simplicio reported that the CBF didn't want to postpone the matches involving Flamengo and Palmeiras. So Flamengo then opened talks with the CBF to try to postpone the match against Coritiba, scheduled for May 30th, okay? Flamengo is actually trying to get not only their own match postponed, and this is our information, but also all the matches that are being requested, like Palmeiras itself, okay? So it's a request from Flamengo and from Palmeiras themselves to have these games on the 30th postponed, right? Because they also have players who have been called up. So Flamengo up to now will have 4 absences due to call-ups. Danilo, Leo Pereira, Alexandre Paquetá, in addition to the possibility of new absences due to call-ups from other national teams. The board may move the match to later in the year using a Copa do Brasil date. We mentioned yesterday that Flamengo and Curitiba are already eliminated from the Copa do Brasil. So it's possible to schedule the game for that date, right? Yeah, in the second half of the year, taking advantage of that date when neither Flamengo nor Curitiba will be playing, right? Both teams are eliminated. So, the first response from the CBF was negative, according to Rai Simplicio, but Flamengo is still considering making the official request. You can't do this anymore with 4 players called up. The rules changed. But Flamengo is appealing to common sense, insists on the fact that they're no longer in the Copa do Brasil. And Curitiba isn't in it either. There would be no problem rescheduling this game. It would even be unfair not to, right, man? Yeah, the CBF is disrespecting the championship and on top of that, punishing the teams that are giving up more players, right? Flamengo is fighting not just for themselves, but for all teams with called up players to have the right to postpone their games. So, it's a situation where Flamengo, is trying to solve a problem. It's a mistake, right, with the schedule a mistake by the CBF. It's a mistake that needs to be fixed. The organization has to understand that it's a mistake that needs to be fixed. Is it wrong? Correct it. Is there a date? Okay. If there wasn't, we would understand. But there is. There's a date. Both teams can postpone their games. And now I'm going to talk about the method, right? It's impressive, man. Impressive. Yeah, Abel Ferreira doesn't change, right? Yeah, he and Leila Pereira, they keep going. Yeah, and she says, Leila says she doesn't complain about refereeing, never complains. Yeah, only through the proper channels, right? That's it. The proper place is Abel's interview. It's Abel's press conference. Leila Pereira's big shield, right? Abel Ferreira is Leila Pereira's big shield. Yeah, and that's why she said that as long as he's happy, he can stay, right? She said that yesterday. That's it. As long as he's happy, what matters is him being happy. Not Palmeiras, it's him being happy. Yeah, but man, I'm here to talk about this method. That statement from Abel Ferreira, right? Asking for courage, right? He wants courageous officiating. Man, it's once again putting pressure on the referees in the game against Flamengo on Saturday. It's impressive, okay? The referee assignment hasn't even been announced yet, and he's already talking. These are two great teams that have had a huge rivalry in the fight for titles. I hope that above all, it's a good game and that the referee chosen has courage as his main characteristic. It's a method, right? It's impressive, man. It's impressive. He has to discuss the refereeing before the game, guys. Before the game, it's very important that the referee has courage. Maybe I can guess who it's going to be. It takes courage to referee a game like that. I'm guessing who it's going to be. He's already trying to say that they've already chosen the referee, that he's already guessing who it's going to be. Guys, it's surreal, right? It's surreal. It's surreal. They don't change, man. They don't change. It takes courage to referee a game like this. May it be a great match and may Palmeiras win, as we always try to do. They try, right? They try, because they haven't won in years, right? Just like we did today, right? He is, but he didn't do it, right? He lost to Cerro, right? And actually, the chance of being second in his group is high. Actually, guys, we could have Flamengo and Palmeiras in the round of 16 of the Libertadores, huh? Flamengo first overall, Palmeiras second. It's possible, okay? And it's not like they don't, we know that, right? We know. What do they want, right? They don't want Brazilian teams winning again. If they can, they'll reduce the number of Brazilian teams and make them face each other, right? But it's a draw, right? It just happens. If we have to face Palmeiras, so be it. That's what we're here for. Flamengo versus Palmeiras in the round of 16. Do you approve? On this one, I agreed with Abel, but I have to say Flamengo is the hardest hit, right? Look at what Abel said about the call-up for the World Cup and these games now before the World Cup, before this call-up, right? The issue of the call-up happening while some games was still going on. Let's see here. Take a look.
Against the call-ups happening before the championships are completely over.
Yeah, he said, I'm totally against call-ups before the championship ends. Why? Without call-ups, players would be motivated to perform their best to earn one, right? Yeah. Maybe they could do it with only one game left, right after Flamengo and Palmeiras, for example.
Against.
I'm totally against it too, Abel. Flamengo is the biggest one hurt by this. Flamengo is the biggest one hurt, okay? Let's watch again. I'm totally against it.
It's the call-ups happening before the championships are over. I'm completely against it.
Excuse me. My question is actually about the World Cup. Do you think that maybe even unconsciously some Palmeiras players who might...
Put yourselves in the players' shoes. Put yourselves in the players' place. You are smart, each of you. Put yourselves in the players' place. The World Cup is held every 4 years, and some players only attend once in their lives. Abel, I ask you to try putting yourself in these players' shoes.
Now, look, now I agree with him.
That's exactly my question.
I don't know how to answer your question. I would really like to be able to answer your question, but I won't be able to answer with the depth you're looking for.
It was just about how your staff deals with the players' anxiety.
We don't deal with it in a normal way like we always do. That's something individual. It's not a collective thing. That has to do with, I don't know if the coach calls them. I don't know how the coach contacts the players. I know that faxes have come in. I know that there have been coaches who got in touch with some players. It's part of it. My way of dealing with it is to try to prepare the players. I approach the games the same way, but knowing, as I said here to your colleague, there's a big responsibility on the coach, but there are many factors that I can't deny. Schedule, travel, call-ups, and injuries are all connected. The coach now has options he didn't before. Is it enough to justify the 2 defeats? No. It's not enough. You look at the bench and don't have the same options as last week. That's the result.
Yeah, the thing Abel is talking about and hinted at between the lines, and the question was also not just about anxiety, right? And then when Abel pushed back, the reporter backed off. It was exactly about players holding back in these games now. And it's a big concern I have with Flamengo and Palmeiras. It's going to be a very tough match. So for me, the bigger concern is with Flamengo. So the bigger concern, even though Abel talks about this issue, the bigger concern between Flamengo and Palmeiras is with Flamengo because they have a lot more players called up. Maybe yesterday he felt some Palmeiras players were holding back. But the concern for Flamengo fans is exactly Flamengo and Palmeiras. Flamengo and Cusco, that team is very weak, but Flamengo and Coritiba, that's it. Players who won't want at the last moment to get injured in a competition that happens every 4 years and could be the only time in their lives they'll play in a World Cup. Nobody wants to get injured. Nobody wants to play with the risk of missing a World Cup. That's the reality, guys. It's just reality. And in that sense, even though I want to make it clear here that Flamengo is the most affected, much more affected, Abel, in that sense, I agree with you. In this, it's one of the few times I'm going to agree. Put yourself in the player's shoes. Every 4 years, there's an opportunity. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Put yourself in his place, right? That's the reality, okay? So in that regard, I have to agree. It's terrible, okay? And Flamengo is really going to need it, right? Flamengo will really need to work on the players' mindset so they go into this match against Palmeiras focused. This match is extremely important. It's extremely important. It doesn't determine the championship like they believe. The return match is the most decisive, with 3 rounds left before the championship ends. But it's a very important match. We had Leonardo Jardim talking about Pedro's situation, right? About Pedro not being called up by Pardalote, right? The Pardal who talks, right? Pardal who talks. Yeah. Leonardo Jardim criticized Pardalote, right? Yeah, he makes it clear that it's a shame not to see him on the national team, not to see Pedro on the national team. He talked about Pedro's quality and said he's the best, that he's one of the best available, that there's no player on the national team who has the qualities he has. Another player may be faster, but no one matches Pedro's quality. Leonardo Jardim criticized, he didn't sit on the fence, he criticized Pardalote. And Pedro talked about the situation. He said the following: everything that happens in my life, I try to see the good side. Of course, I was expecting to be called up, but those who were called up also deserved it. They were also part of the whole process. I got injured right before being called up, which made things harder. But I did my part. I've been playing well, thank God. Now, I just want to wish good luck to everyone who's going. I'll be cheering like any other Brazilian. Who knows? Maybe I'll still get a chance, right? You never know, right? I'm grateful to God for having been part of this cycle. So without a doubt, if I didn't go, it's because God didn't allow it, but I'll be cheering as another Brazilian. And without a doubt, I'll work to come back for the next call-up and be on the national team. Look at that. And I want to say here that it's an absolute disgrace. Because with some people, with Neymar himself, for example, and I rooted for him to be called up, but with Neymar himself, there's a... how can I put this? They have respect for him, yes. So they have a certain respect, a calmness, a sense of calm as they wait to see if he'll be physically okay and all that, right? Regarding Pedro, we don't notice that. And why is there so much cowardice? His more serious injury occurred during national team training, just as he was being called up and aiming to become a permanent starter. Pedro suffered his worst injury during national team training. And that's what makes me even more upset, because he should be a little more respected, right? And he deserves it, and the proof was what he did yesterday in the game, right? That bicycle kick, man, what a great goal. Well, he really deserved it a lot. And Leonardo Jardim commented that Estudiantes beat Flamengo 2-0 when it came to broken noses, right? Referring to the collision plays involving Emerson Royal. The fullback will be reevaluated by the medical department after the collision suffered in the match against Estudiantes. The concern is about a possible fracture in his nose. Man, he might be out. And now there are only a few games left before the World Cup, right? I don't think he'll be missed that much. It's because there's rotation and all. The player usually plays in the Libertadores. He would probably play against Cusco. So Flamengo, right, will evaluate to see if the player really had a fracture. But the truth is, man, in 2 games, right? 2 games against Estudiantes, 2 fractures. It's complicated, man. But then Leonardo Jardim made a joke, right? They won 2-0 in broken noses. Yeah, I have a friend who was actually with a source close to Flamengo's board yesterday. And this source assured that no, it's not about misleading or anything, that it's really Botafogo. Flamengo made an offer for Danilo. Botafogo wants 40 million euros. Flamengo pulled out, okay? Flamengo really gave up despite the information from Caio Ribeiro, from Estadão and everything, but it was already old news about the offer, which ended up leaking later. So Flamengo really did. They pulled out regarding Danilo. That information we reported is the accurate one. Flamengo understands that they have a lot of players in that position, good defensive midfielders, including De La Cruz, who is getting better and better. Yeah, he's playing really well. He played very well yesterday. Flamengo has Paquetá, has Saul. Saul needs to recover, yes, but there's Saul, there's Jorginho, there's Eric Pulgar, there's Everton Araujo. Flamengo has a lot of defensive midfielders, right? And they understand that the biggest need is for forwards, right? And fullbacks, okay, left back. So Flamengo at this moment has pulled out of the deal because of the high amounts that Botafogo is asking for. They won't budge, right? And the information is also that Palmeiras already knows. The information coming from São Paulo is that Palmeiras already knows the player prefers to return to European football, okay? And the deal with Botafogo would only happen if they agreed to be flexible with the payment, splitting it into several installments, which Botafogo doesn't want. Because of the financial situation, the difficulties they're facing, the debts and everything else, right? They need to pay salaries, everything is overdue. So Botafogo wants the money up front. Botafogo wants as much of the payment up front as possible. They won't want to split it into many installments, both for Flamengo, which is also flexible in how it structures deals, and for Palmeiras. So a move abroad is much more likely, okay? So this issue of Botafogo not wanting to be more flexible about selling to Brazilian clubs, partly because of their own needs, will make it harder to sell Danilo here in Brazil, okay? So they want something around 40 million euros, and with a large part paid up front, which makes the sale difficult both for Flamengo and for Palmeiras. Leila Ferreira, right? She said, of course, that she'd like to sign him, and we already knew she would try. But she's also not into bidding wars, paying more than anyone else. No, there's also this point, which is the information coming from São Paulo, that they need to be as flexible as possible to be able to sign him. They don't have that kind of money on hand, 40 million euros to pay. Nobody does. That's it. Please follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a like. Maroto in the video, thanks for your company. Flamengo greetings. This is Flamengo. Big hug. Thanks. I'm out.